Part 86. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 851. We continue to move towards the east of Corpse Mountain Gusi. Suddenly, the surrounding scene changed. The corpse trees disappeared and were replaced by lush green woods. I stopped and looked back. The way I came had been blocked by dense woods. Seeing this scene, I instantly understood what kind of existence the Corpse Mountain Gusi was. Corpse Mountain Gusi, like Yin Yang Town, is a yin realm, existing at the intersection of yin and yang. We went straight down the mountain road and quickly descended the mountain. Afterwards, we returned to the Miaozhong ancient village. It was already dawn when we arrived at the Miaozhong ancient village. We planned to rest in the Miaozhong ancient village for a day and return to Tianfu City the next morning. But before returning to Tianfu City, I have one more thing to do, and that is to lend the yin soldiers to Master Ghost. That night, I summoned the Sea of Ghosts and summoned the yin soldiers. I looked at the mighty yin soldiers standing in front of me and said, "From now on, you will be at his disposal. Everything he says is my meaning. Do you understand?" More than 10,000 yin soldiers shouted in unison, "Yes." I looked at Master Ghost and said with a smile, "I lent you the yin soldier. Are you sure you don't want me to go with you?" Master Goi shook his head and replied, "You can come to save me and lend me my yin soldiers, I am already very grateful to you. This matter is an internal matter of Jingmen City God, I can handle it myself." I reached out and patted Master Goi on the shoulder and said, "Since you have decided, I respect your choice." Master Goi thanked me again. I rolled my eyes and said, "You and I don't have to be so polite." Afterwards, Master Goi left the Miaozhong ancient village with more than 10,000 yin soldiers. Early the next morning, Su Tianxian, Miao Fengluan, and I left the Miaozhong ancient village. Before leaving, Granny Miao said to me in a serious voice, "Xiao Su, you will face a lot of troubles in the future. If one day you need help from our Miao village, I will stand by your side regardless of any position." I smiled at Granny Miao and said, "Thanks, Granny Miao." After saying goodbye to Granny Miao, we took the high-speed train back to Tianfu City. In the evening, we returned to Jiyuntang. I pushed open the door of Jiyuntang and saw a handsome and imposing young man sitting on the 8 Immortals table. The boy was about 17 or 18 years old. At this time, he was crossing his legs and eating the fruit on the table with a contented expression. I frowned, where did this guy come from? However, I soon realized something. The boy's eyes are somewhat similar to Xiao Hei's. Could it be that Xiao Hei has turned into a human form? I tentatively called out, "Xiao Hei." The young man was startled for a moment, and then he noticed someone coming in. He stood up suddenly. When he saw it was me, he was stunned for a moment, and then shouted in surprise, "Boss! You're back." When I heard the boy speak, I knew the boy in front of me was Xiao Hei. Xiao Hei came to me and asked suspiciously, "Boss, how did you recognize me?" I rolled my eyes and said, "With your stinky temperament, how could I not recognize you?" Xiao Hei chuckled. I asked, "It's only been a few days and you've turned into a human form?" Xiao Hei replied, "The sun and moon beads are not only rich in the essence of the sun and the moon, but also have my breath. I successfully transformed with my breath. But I didn't take my breath, I think it won't take long for me to can become human." Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 852. It is indeed a good thing that Xiao Hei can become a human. Maybe you can help me with something in the future. Cai Dai suddenly jumped out, looked Xiao Hei up and down, then sighed and said, "Sure enough, you are still so ugly after turning into a human form." Xiao Hei was stunned for a moment, and then shouted unconvinced, "I'm ugly. I'm still ugly. If I walk on the street, I'll turn head so much." Kadi rolled her eyes and said unceremoniously, they want to see how ugly you are. The two happy enemies began their daily bickering again. Su Tianqian and I came to the second floor to discuss going to the place where Qin Shihuang sought immortality and entered the sea. Let's set off tomorrow, things can't be delayed any longer. Su Tianqian said to me. That's what I think too. I want to eliminate the evil core as soon as possible so that I can go to the next place of the four evil spirits. At this moment, Xiao Hei's wailing sound came from the hall on the first floor. Auntie. I was wrong. I was wrong. Stop hitting me. Stop hitting me. I won't hit you. You're dreaming. Who told you to just say that I was a child? I didn't say you were a child, don't slap me in the face. Don't slap me in the face. Grandma. I didn't have to think about it to know that it was the little black-mouthed bitch who pissed off Cai Dai. Hua Xiu was still sleeping, and I had no intention of waking her up. At night, just when I was about to lie down in bed and sleep, there was a slight sound of footsteps in my ears. I sat up from the bed suddenly and tiptoed to the door. The footsteps were so soft that if you didn't listen carefully, you wouldn't hear them at all. Moreover, the footsteps were heading towards the rooftop. Is it Master? What was she doing on the rooftop so late? The footsteps gradually faded away. I stretched out my hand and pushed open the door. Looking at the empty corridor, I walked towards the rooftop without any hesitation. As soon as I walked out, I saw Su Tianqian standing on the rooftop. She looked up at the stars for a long time, and then let out a long sigh. Then I heard her saying to herself, those people are coming soon. I don't know how long I can stay with Xiao Su. Hearing this sentence, I was shocked. Who are those people? Where is my master going? I could no longer hold back the emotions in my heart and walked out. Su Tianqian heard footsteps coming from behind and turned around suddenly. When he saw it was me, his expression changed slightly, but he soon returned to normal. Why aren't you sleeping yet? Su Tianxian's cold voice reached my ears. I came to Su Tianqian, stared at her closely, and asked word for word, Master, where are you going? There was only a dull look in Su Tianxian's beautiful eyes, and she said slowly, I'm not going anywhere. Seeing her like this, I felt a little angry. Master, I heard what you just said. Now, Master, are you still unwilling to tell me your story? Su Tianqian shook his head slightly, turned around, looked at the city under the night, and said, I tell you, you won't change anything, you will only add to your worries. I grabbed Su Tianxian's jade arm and pulled him in front of me. Master, if anything happens, we can face it together. You don't have to bear everything by yourself. Even if I don't have the ability to solve it, I will become stronger. I will help you. Su Tianqian looked at me quietly with her beautiful eyes open, hesitated again and said, Xiao Su, you can't solve my problem, even I can't solve it, so I can only obey. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanba. Chapter 853. Su Tianxian's voice paused, and her pretty face was filled with confusion. She said, if you insist on knowing, then I will tell you something. Master, tell me. Everyone's destiny is determined when they are born, but you have jumped out of it. I will never leave you, never, I just continue to accompany you in a different way, such as the breeze in the mountains, the bright moon and stars. When I heard this sentence, my voice was a little choked, and I asked, Master, I don't want the breeze in the mountains, nor the stars and the bright moon. I just want your figure wherever I look. Su Tianqian also felt a little disappointed. Under the moonlight, her eyes seemed to be filled with tears, shining like gems under the moonlight. She slowly reached out her hand, gently touched my cheek, and said softly, "Xiao Su, you have matured a lot now, and there are so many friends around you, and there are so many people who love you, I hope you will be well live on." Su Tianxian continued, "You will also know your life experience. When you know that day, everything will be settled, and what you pursue in life will be achieved." I kept shaking my head at Su Tianxian. Unknowingly, Su Tianxian has reached the point where no one can replace her in my heart. I can't imagine life without Su Tianxian. Even if it's just a silent companionship and only the master-disciple relationship, I'll be content. Su Tianxian said softly, "Xiao Su, let's go back. The wind has picked up and I'm a little cold." I didn't continue to ask because I knew that Su Tianxian wouldn't tell me anything if I continued to ask. Good. Su Tianxian and I returned to Ji Yuntang. She went back to her bedroom, but I was lying alone in the room, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. What is my master afraid of? With her strength, how could anyone in this world hurt her? If there must be one, it can only be someone like Emperor Fengdu. I let out a long sigh. No matter what, I couldn't possibly watch my master take on these things alone. That night, I didn't sleep at all. When I woke up the next morning, I looked a little haggard. I opened the door and happened to see Su Tianxian walking out of the room. Her expression was still extremely calm, but I found that her eyes were slightly red. Could it be that she didn't sleep well? "Master, didn't you sleep well last night?" I asked. Su Tianxian shook his head and replied, "No, I slept very well." After a simple breakfast, Su Tianxian and I got up and prepared to go to the sea where Qin Shi Huang prayed for immortality. Xiao He also wanted to go with me. I originally planned to take him with me, but unexpectedly I was rejected by my master. "This time, just you and me, the master and the apprentice, will go." I didn't know what Su Tianxian's purpose was, but I didn't ask any more questions. Saying goodbye to Xiao He and Miao Fengluan, Su Tianxian and I went to the high-speed rail station and took the high-speed rail to Linyu. The whole journey only takes 3 hours. Soon Su Tianxian and I came to Linyu. Linyu is a tourist city close to the sea, and Shanhaiguan is the starting point of the Great Wall. I originally thought that after getting off the bus, Su Tianxian would take me directly to the place where Qin Shi Huang entered the sea to seek immortality. But I didn't expect that Su Tianxian said that he wanted to take a stroll in Linyu. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 854. Since my master has said so directly, I can't refuse. In this way, our master and apprentice walked around Linyu. First, we went to eat famous local snacks. Then we visited many places of interest. When our master and apprentice arrived at King Qin's palace, I looked at the magnificent dragon chair in the hall and fell into deep contemplation. This dragon chair feels inexplicably familiar to me. It's like I've been sitting there before. Later, our master and apprentice did not stay here longer and went to other places. In the afternoon, we came to the place where Qin Shi Huang entered the sea to seek immortality. We first rented 2 sea view hotels on the beach. After packing, we walked towards the place where Qin Shi Huang entered the sea to seek immortality. The place where Qin Shi Huang entered the sea to seek immortality is located in Linyuhe port area and is a scenic spot. However, the sea and beach outside the scenic area can be entered free of charge. I bought a ticket and entered it with Su Tianxian. As soon as I entered it, I felt a strong wind coming. This made me slightly stunned. The bright sun was shining brightly, but there was such a yin energy. It seemed that things were not simple here. The gate here is imitated in the form of a gate in the Qin and Han dynasties. It has double eaves, 4 roofs, and 3 gates. The gate tower is in the archway style with double eaves. There are 2 main gates in the middle, with auxiliary gates on the left and right, and 2 side gates, connected on both sides. High walls. The upper beams of the side tower are embossed with the 4 spirits of green dragon, white tiger, red bird, and Suanwu according to the 4 directions of east, west, north and south. The horizontal plaque on the main entrance is written by Mr. Zhao Puchu, the place where Emperor Qin entered the sea to seek immortality. As soon as I entered it, I saw a stone statue. The stone statue was carved by Qin Shi Huang. The carving was outstanding, and the carving of Qin Shi Huang's demeanor was lifelike. Although I have never seen what Qin Shi Huang looked like, I can feel the style of the eternal emperor just by looking at the stone statue. The stone statue of the first emperor holds a cup in both hands and faces the sea. The whole stone statue looks mighty and domineering. Our master and apprentice continued to go deeper, walked up a flight of stairs, and entered the interior of the scenic spot. This includes the Qinhuang Dongsun group of sculptures, Warring States Customs, Immortal Temple, Immortal Seeking Hall, Immortal Seeking Road, etc. After looking around, I didn't find anything out of the ordinary. Su Tianqian took me to a stone monument. There are several large characters carved on the stone tablet, which is the place where Qin Shi Huang entered the sea to seek immortality. Master, is there anything wrong with this stone tablet? Su Tianqian shook his head slightly and replied, there is nothing wrong with this stone tablet, but there is something wrong with the stone tablet that once stood here. Hearing this sentence, I became more and more confused. Su Tianqian explained, this stone monument was built by later generations. Before this time, there was an immortal monument standing here, but it was pushed into the sea. If we can find that stone tablet, we can find the path to Penglai Immortal Island. I raised a tearful smile at the corner of my mouth and said, Master, that immortal tablet has been pushed into the sea a long time ago. Where should we look for it? Su Tianqian turned around and said calmly, I have my own way. Just as we were about to turn around and leave, a feeling of being spied on came over me. I turned around suddenly and saw a figure leaving in a hurry. I went up to chase him, but couldn't find him. Because there are simply too many people in the scenic spot. What's wrong? Su Tianqian asked. I told her what just happened. After hearing this, Su Tianqian nodded slightly and said, we are being followed, but don't worry, the soldiers will come to cover up the water and the earth, and we will have a way to deal with it when the time comes. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 855. I nodded and Su Tianqian walked out of the scenic spot and sat under a bench lined with green trees. I looked at the scenery not far away. The waves surge up to the beach from time to time, chasing each other and playing, hitting the rocks, making bursts of joy. Tourists coming and going are running barefoot on the beach, with bright expressions and a sense of comfort. I glanced at Su Tianqian, and an idea quietly emerged in my heart. I stood up and took Su Tianxian's hand. She was slightly startled and asked suspiciously, what's wrong? I smiled at Su Tianqian and said, it's hard to come to the beach. Of course I have to swim in the water. Ah! Without waiting for her to refuse, I took her to a nearby swimsuit store. When the boss saw a customer, he came out quickly. Brother, why don't you bring your girlfriend to buy a swimsuit? Girlfriend. I waved my hands repeatedly and said, no, no, she and I are not boyfriend and girlfriend. As I said that, I secretly glanced at Su Tianqian. I found that the expression on her face didn't change much. I see. The boss looked at us master and apprentice with strange eyes. Then, I picked a pair of swimming trunks, and Su Tianqian stood quietly, not moving. I asked with some confusion, Master, why don't you choose? Su Tianqian looked at me, her beautiful eyes full of confusion, and she asked, do we really want to go swimming? Yes. Otherwise, why would I bring you here? Okay, okay. I have never seen Su Tianqian look like this. In the past, Su Tianqian always looked indifferent and cold, but now he is so cute. Su Tianxuan's beautiful eyes swept over the swimsuits, and finally focused on a white swimsuit. I quickly signaled to the boss to take off the swim skirt. Su Tianxian took the swimsuit from my hand and went to the fitting room to change. To be honest, I feel uneasy at the moment. Originally, I was very troubled by the matter of dragging my master to swim. I was afraid that master would be angry, but the reality was different from what I thought. Master, she was not angry and was very cooperative. After a while, Su Tianxian changed into her swimming skirt and walked out. I was stunned for a moment. This white swimming skirt is very conservative, but it brings out Su Tianxuan's exquisite and beautiful figure. With skin like snow, hair like clouds, blue eyes, and peach cheeks, it would be no exaggeration to say that she would captivate the entire country. Su Tianxian came to me, pulled up her swimming skirt a little nervously, and asked, "Xiao Su, is this really okay?" I came to my senses, nodded, and replied, "Of course. Master, let's go." Su Tianxian nodded slightly. Later, Su Tianxian and I came to the beach and stepped on the golden sand with bare feet. The appearance of Su Tianxian instantly attracted the attention of the people around him. They couldn't help but sigh. How can there be such a beautiful woman in this world? Oh my God! Did I see a fairy? So beautiful! This is so beautiful! All the eyes were full of praise, without any dirty looks. Su Tianxian was like a pure white lotus. Just standing there made people feel in awe. They only dared to watch from a distance and did not dare to feel any remorse. After Su Tianxian and I went into the water, Su Tianxian didn't move and just floated quietly on the water. My eyes moved and I poured water directly on her body. Su Tianxian was slightly stunned and said angrily, "Xiao Su, you are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanba. Chapter 856. I smiled and said, "Master, just swimming is boring, why don't we have a water fight?" Just when Su Tianxian was stunned, I once again raised the sea water on her body. Su Tianxian calmed down and followed my example and poured water on himself. Just like that, the two of us started playing and playing around. Looking at the smile on Su Tianxuan's face, I knew this in my heart. It turns out that Su Tianxian, who is aloof and doesn't take everything to heart, is also a girl who likes to have fun. Tired of playing, the two of us went ashore. Su Tianxuan's frowning eyebrows finally relaxed. It seems that matter has become an unbreakable knot for her. It's also a good thing to let her relax a bit. In the evening, Su Tianxian and I sat on the beach, watching the sun set in the west, dyeing the sea level and half of the sky fiery red, and a few seagulls flying towards that fiery red. Su Tianxian stretched out his hand, stroked his hair, looked at me with his beautiful face, and said, "Xiao Su, we have to prepare to find Penglai Fairy Island in the evening." I nodded and asked, "Master, what is your solution?" Su Tianxian said mysteriously, "You will know when the time comes." I didn't continue to ask further. At this moment, a person's panicked cry for help suddenly came from not far away. "Help! Help! Someone fell into the water! Someone fell into the water!" I was slightly stunned and looked at Su Tianxian. Su Tianxian nodded slightly and motioned to take a look. The two of us got up and ran in the direction of the cry for help. Not far away, I saw a head protruding from the sea not far away. The man kept struggling, exposing his head, then sinking, then rising again. Someone had already come to the rescue, so I didn't join in the fun. But after the man entered the water, I realized something was wrong. The man suddenly fell down in the shallow sea and rushed towards the sea at an extremely fast speed. Immediately afterwards, the man who went to rescue him began to struggle desperately like the man who fell into the water. No matter how hard the person struggled, they couldn't come out of the sea, as if someone was pulling them in the water. I instantly realized something was wrong and ran towards the two drowning people. Su Tianxuan's cold voice sounded in my ears. Be safe. I turned back and nodded at Su Tianxian. Soon, I came to the shallow water. Just when I wanted to continue moving forward, something seemed to be grabbed around my ankle. Immediately afterwards, my whole body fell into the water in an instant, and then a huge pulling force pulled me towards the water. My face hardened, and I silently recited the golden light mantra in my heart. Immediately afterwards, a golden light burst out from my body. The hand holding my ankle quickly released. I adjusted my body shape and swam towards the two drowning people. I grabbed one of them and dragged him toward the shore. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't move him. I let go of the man, took a deep breath, and dived into the water. The water is very clear, and with the light of dusk, I can clearly see what's going on in the water. I saw that the bottom of the sea was densely covered with human figures. Their whole bodies were swollen from the soak, and their entire bodies became a bit bigger. My face froze. Water ghost. There were two water ghosts among them. They grabbed the ankles of the two drowning people and pulled them towards the water. I condensed my expression, summoned my heart sword, and slashed at the water ghost's arm. The water ghost's arm was cut off by my sword. I followed the same example and cut off the arm of the other water ghost. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanba. Chapter 857. The two drowning people knew the nature of water. But because his legs were grabbed by the water ghost, he couldn't break free at all. I emerged from the water and shouted to the two panicked people, "Quick! You two swim to the shore quickly." Fortunately, these two people listened to my words and swam towards the shore quickly. I dived under the water, and the sight before me made my scalp tingle. I saw countless water ghosts swimming towards me under the water. Now is not the time to deal with these water ghosts. We still have to find a way to get out of here first. Thinking of this, I summoned the karma fire, and the crimson flame burned in the palm of my hand. I slowly threw down the crimson flame. Then he turned around and swam towards the shore. I don't know if the fire of karma can destroy those water ghosts. Even if they can't be wiped out all, it would be great to be able to slow down their movement. I swam quickly and soon reached the shore. There were many tourists gathered on the shore. The two drowned tourists were gasping for air on the ground and staring into the sea with horrified expressions. I came to the two people, squatted down, and checked their ankles that were grabbed by the water ghost. The yin qi has entered the body, and if it is not resolved in time, the two of them will be killed on the spot in a short time. I whispered in the ears of the two of them, "Don't tell anyone what just happened. I'll help you two get rid of the negative energy." The two of them were stunned for a moment and looked at me with horrified expressions. One of them asked tremblingly, was that a ghost who caught us just now?" I nodded, and their bodies trembled even more. However, the two of them didn't yell. If you shout loudly, it will definitely cause a big sensation. At this time, Su Tianxian also came to me. She glanced at their ankles that were grabbed by the water ghost, squatted down, and said to me, "I'll do it." I nodded and saw Su Tianxian stretch out his green-white index finger and tap the black and blue ankles of the two of them. Immediately afterwards, the black and blue ankle was returning to normal at a speed visible to the naked eye. I said to the two people, "Okay, you are not allowed to tell anyone what happened today." The two nodded and left here with the help of their companions. The surrounding tourists dispersed in a hurry. Su Tianxian and I returned to the hotel, and I told Su Tianxian exactly what I had just seen underwater. After hearing this, Su Tianxian nodded and said, "The yang energy here is very strong, so it stands to reason that there will be no evil ghosts." I frowned and asked, "Master, do you mean someone is doing something secretly?" Su Tianqian nodded and said, yes, we should be more careful. I have some doubts in my heart. Who is targeting us? Zhang Yucheng? Or someone from the Taoist sect? Or is it someone else? At night, you and I will go together to find the entrance to Penglai Island. Good. Soon, night fell and Su Tianqian knocked on my door. She and I returned to the beach during the day. Su Tianqian took out a compass from her pocket, and then compared it with the stars in the sky. Finally, Su Tianqian pointed in one direction and said, the immortal monument is in that sea area. We must find a way to find the immortal monument first. I nodded and said, Master, wait for me, I'll hire a fishing boat. It's night now and the fishing boats won't go out to sea. However, as long as the price is high, they will naturally do it. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 858. Just as I was about to turn around to rent a fishing boat, I was stopped by Su Tianqian. She said, no need to bother, just wait patiently here. Waiting patiently for what? Su Tianqian seemed to see through my inner thoughts and said, Xiao Su, do you know about Su Fu's eastward journey? I nodded. Of course I understand this matter, and it will be recorded in the history books. 219 BC, the 28th year of Qin Shi Huang. On his second tour, Qin Shi Huang climbed to the top of Mount Tai, engraving stones on Mount Tai, and then headed to the Bohai Sea. Arriving at the seaside, Qin Shi Huang boarded Hifu Island and took in the full view. Between the Sea of Clouds and the Sea of Clouds, people in the mountains and rivers disappeared and appeared, which was so spectacular that it especially fascinated Qin Shi Huang. Of course, this situation is a mirage when explained by modern science. However, there is also a problem here, that is, if it is a mirage, what exactly is the scene reflected on the sea? In order to cater to Qin Shi Huang's desire for immortality, a group of alchemists claimed that it was the Penglai Fairy Island. According to legend, there are 3 fairy mountains in the world, Penglai, Abbot, and Yingzhou. After Su Fu returned to the palace, he wrote a letter stating that he could go to sea to find the fairy island. Qin Shi Huang readily agreed and spent a lot of manpower and material resources to search for it. According to Su Fu's request, he sent thousands of boys and girls to go to sea with him to obtain the elixir. He himself lingered here, waiting for good news about Su Fu. However, what was waiting was that Su Fu returned empty-handed. Su Fu claimed to have met Poseidon, but Poseidon refused to give him the elixir because the gift was too thin. In this regard, Qin Shi Huang was convinced and sent 3,000 more boys and girls as well as craftsmen, technicians, and grain seeds to make Su Fu go to sea again. Qin Shi Huang refused to leave. He waited for 3 months and returned with no news from Su Fu. No one knows whether Su Fu found the legendary Penglai Island. Su Tianqian looked at the sea under the night and said calmly, according to legend, Su Fu encountered danger when he went to sea. Everyone on the ship died at sea, but Su Fu and the 3,000 boys and girls still had their grievances. It turned into a ghost ship and sailed on the sea day and night. I was slightly stunned and asked, Master, what do you mean, we want to take that ghost ship? Su Tianqian nodded slightly and replied, that ghost ship does exist, and it is not just a rumor. Every year on October 25th, after early morning, the ghost ship will stay on the shore for 1 minute. At that time, we will take the ghost ship. If you find the immortal monument, you can find the path to Penglai Immortal Island. I nodded. It seemed that my master had arranged everything. Tonight is October 25th, and of course it is also the Cold Food Festival. Cold Food Festival, Shangyuan Festival, and Qingming Festival are combined into 3 major ghost festivals. But compared to the other 2 festivals, the Cold Food Festival seems a bit inconspicuous. Su Tianqian and I were sitting on the beach. The seaside was quiet at night, with the vast endless ocean and a bright moon rising slowly on the far horizon. The sky and the earth were filled with the clear light of the moon. I looked at Su Tianxian sitting next to me. Under the illumination of the moonlight, her face looked particularly gentle between her eyebrows. "Master, what kind of existence are those people you speak of?" Su Tianxian slowly turned his head, looked at me, then lowered his eyebrows and said, "They are existences that you must not provoke, not even me." She finished her words with eyebrows, but I also knew what she wanted to express. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanba. Chapter 859. 860. I was a little surprised. Who in this world could make his master so afraid? In my impression, no matter what happens, my master can solve it. But someone as powerful as Su Tianxian also has something that scares her. I finally understood the intention of what Xiangyi once said to me. You have to grow up quickly so that you can protect your master. Of course, there are also Yunxiazi's words. I hope you and her can have a good ending. Obviously, both Xiangyi and Yunxiazi knew what the master was facing. It's just that they didn't want to tell me. It turns out that everything had to be decided before, but it was just not discovered. Just when I was lost in thought, Su Tianxian gently leaned her head on my shoulder. I stiffened and looked at Su Tianxian. I saw her opening her beautiful eyes and quietly enjoying the beautiful scenery in front of her. I even want to freeze time at this moment, because in this case, we don't need to face the right and wrong. Time passed by minute, and it came to 11:30 at night. The tourists playing at the beach left one after another, and in the end only Su Tianxian and I were left. At this moment, a childish voice sounded in my ears. "Big brother, big sister, I can't find my mother. Can you take me to find my mother?" I looked back and saw a cute little girl with a sheep tail standing timidly behind me and Su Tianxian. The little girl's big watery eyes were full of tears. I frowned. During the day, Su Tianxian and I knew that someone was plotting against us. And with such a child appearing at this juncture, it would be impossible not to be more vigilant. I looked at the little girl's shadow. Under the moonlight, the little girl's shadow was projected quietly on the beach. I felt the breath of the little girl carefully and found nothing unusual. Could it be that I'm too worried? Su Tianxian turned around, reached out and rubbed the little girl's head, and asked softly, "My little friend, where did you separate from your mother?" The little girl frowned, lowered her head and thought for a long time, and said, "Over there." The little girl points in one direction. Su Tianxian nodded, stood up and said, "Let's go, there's still a while, let's help this little girl find her mother first." I nodded, and then we walked in the direction the little girl pointed. On the way, Su Tianxian whispered in my ear, "There is nothing wrong with this little girl, but we don't know if there is any problem with the others. I know what my master means. The little girl in front of me is probably a hooker. Led Su Tianxian and me into a trap. But we have to do it. After all, for such a young girl wandering on the beach, who knows what could happen?" Su Tianxian added, "Just take this opportunity to see who is plotting against us." I nodded and replied, "I know." As I walked, I saw the outline of a village. I was slightly stunned. Su Tianxian and I had been there during the day. That area was just a beach, but why did the outline of a village appear now? When we got closer, we saw that it was indeed a fishing village. Su Tianxian and I looked at each other and saw solemnity in each other's eyes. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanba. Chapter 860. The moonlight shone lightly and enveloped the fishing village, making it look particularly eerie and strange. The fishing village that appeared out of thin air made me uneasy. Who wants to bring me and Su Tianxian into this? Come on, let's go in and take a look. Su Tianxian said lightly. I nodded and immediately entered the fishing village. In the fishing village, old boats and mottled old fishing nets are scattered, and the air is filled with a disgusting smell of fish. The whole village was quiet, and no sound could be heard. It was so quiet that people felt panicked. At this moment, the little girl who was following me instinctively felt fear. She said to me, "Big brother, this was not like this just now, will my mother not be here anymore? Or, did she go somewhere else to wait for me?" The little girl's words prove that she really doesn't know anything. "Just looking for my mother." I smiled at the little girl and said, "Don't be afraid, we will definitely find your mother." The little girl was very good and nodded towards me. We continued deeper, and after much hesitation, I came to a fisherman's house and opened the courtyard door. There were various fishing props placed in the yard. When I opened the door, I saw no one. Just when Su Tianxian, the little girl and I were about to leave here, there was a sudden roar of firecrackers in our ears. The noisy firecrackers were particularly harsh in the silent night. I looked at myself and rushed towards the direction where the sound of firecrackers came from. Soon, we arrived at the southeast corner of the village, facing the sea, where we found a large fishing village ancestral hall. Outside the ancestral hall, red silk was floating. Outside the ancestral hall, there were more than a dozen wooden tables. On the wooden tables, pig heads, chickens, carp, big steamed buns and other sacrifices were placed. Especially the big carp placed on the table in the front is as big as a medium-sized pig. This is a sea sacrifice. A fisherman's culture and folk cultural activities with unique regional characteristics created by fishermen in their long life of farming, sea husbandry, and fishing. Sacrifice to the sea is a folk religious belief. Before fishermen go out to sea, they must first sacrifice to the gods on the boat and burn the ultimatum, commonly known as executive documents. Then the boss throws the wine in the cup and the meat on the plate into the sea, saying it as a reward for the wandering soul, so that he can go out fishing safely. The fishing village that suddenly appeared was still holding a sea sacrifice ceremony. But why, not even a single figure was seen. Not to mention human figures, not even ghost figures were seen. Su Tianxian came to a wooden board. I looked at the wooden board and was slightly stunned. That one was an ordinary wooden board, but a coffin board. I came to Su Tianxian and asked, "Master, why is there a coffin board placed here?" Su Tianxian explained, "This coffin board is called Taiping Fang. When fishermen are fishing in the sea, they are likely to be swallowed by huge waves or encounter other troubles and die in the sea. Being buried in the sea is a taboo for fishermen, so put a coffin board in order to ensure peace and tranquility. If you die, you must die at home so that you can be buried in peace." I suddenly realized that this coffin board was for safety. Su Tianxian pondered for a moment and then said, "When we leave the fishing village, take away this coffin board, or cut it off into a small section. When we get on the ghost ship, there will be unexpected effects." I nodded in agreement. At this moment, I suddenly felt like someone was watching me secretly. I turned around suddenly, and what I saw made me freeze in place.